This HIV patient has been told by Anthem Blue Cross he may not buy his medications from a local pharmacy.
Blue Cross is being like incredibly blasé about these privacy concerns.
So Blue Cross is changing a controversial policy.
A consumer group filed a class action suit, and today Blue Cross agreed to give policyholders the option of getting their meds from a pharmacist.
After Blue Cross changed its practices to better serve people living with HIV, every major insurance company in the United States did the same. Why? Because of a series of lawsuits brought by Consumer Watchdog and our co-counsel Watley Callis.
And so I think this is an important first step.
Alka Ari is one of the many people who tragically lost a family member due to medical negligence. She says her sister was denied proper medical attention at not one, but 2 hospitals.
She went into the hospital with a stomach ache, which turned out to be an intestinal infection, but that wasn't caught.
Through the work of Consumer Watchdog, Ari and other families have worked for the creation of Senate Bill 815. Patient advocate for Consumer Watchdog Michelle Montserrat Ramos says SB 815 will require final interviews before a complaint is dismissed, those affected to submit a patient impact statement, and not having just doctors review the actions of their peers.
I want them to get to the point where they see the public, they see the families, the stakeholders too.
The governor signed SB 815 into law this month. Its reforms will finally give patients a voice in doctor discipline in California.
On January 1st, 2025, California supermarkets and grocery stores will now be required to take back the containers and recycle on site. But a new report by Consumer Watchdog says CalRecycle needs to do a lot of things before that law takes effect.
Consumer Watchdog says one recycling center serves about 31,000 people, something they want to see change by adding more recycling centers in the state.
We are actually losing 9 billion containers a year in the state of California to landfills and to litter and to the oceans and to the rivers and to the parks, because people don't have a place to take back those containers and get back their nickels and dimes. We need to have multiple ways of providing consumers with convenience.
Well, California's government and state lawmakers could be forced to be more transparent when it comes to records and investigation. This is under a new proposal that was filed today.
It's one of the primary purposes of government, providing public records. Journalists, organizations, and members of the general public request them, and it's the state or local government's responsibility to search for and provide them. California lawmakers and the state's government may need to be more open with its records, documents, and dealings under a new proposed ballot initiative filed Wednesday.
Now, this really does come down to the health of our communities and the health of our democracy.
It also pushes state lawmakers to be more open about their meetings with lobbyists and make records related to lawmaker misconduct investigations public.
And across California, many homeowners have been forced into a state-backed insurance option because they can't get a policy anywhere else. Consumer advocates are fighting to change that, asking state lawmakers to force insurers to write wildfire policies for any homeowner who puts preventive fire measures in place.
That's what we have to do to reduce risk in the state of California. Homeowners who clear brush around their homes and who harden their homes against fire are 75% less likely to have their homes burned down. So in order to save insurance companies money, save our communities money, and save homeowners money from the damage of those fires, we need to increase incentives for mitigation. But homeowners aren't going to spend that money if they don't know they're going to get insurance at the end of the day.
Public participation and transparency in the rate setting process is really the cornerstone to keeping insurance available and affordable in California. As a result of our analysis and participation, Consumer Watchdog's challenges have lowered rates, saving consumers over $4.6 billion in unjustified rate hikes in just the last 20 years.
The insurance companies are using climate change as an excuse to make changes in rules that have saved Californians, literally, not exaggerating, hundreds of billions of dollars in the last 35 years. The goal is to make sure that our elected officials do not capitulate to the insurance industry and do not agree to concessions that would basically free insurance companies to engage in price gouging.
There are reports of a secret recording that's raising concerns the state legislature will try to ram through a wildfire insurance bailout in the final weeks of the legislative session.
Consumer activist Jamie Court was on a Southwest flight from L.A. to Sacramento. He tells me the passenger across the aisle was insurance industry lobbyist Michael Gunning. Consumer Watchdog released this photo.
I overheard him say some really remarkable things. So I took my tape recorder on my phone out and I started recording. They were saying that we're going to bring this up at the very last minute so that the public doesn't have a chance to see it. Advocates don't have a chance to examine it and oppose it. And we're just going to ram it through without public debate, without the benefits of democracy.
It was a wild ride, let me tell you. It was amazing. Consumer advocates were saying the insurance industry was working on a secret backroom deal to get a major bailout and force consumers to pay for it. Important legislative deadlines have just passed, so now we know what's going on, and there will be no legislative deals cut this session.
Sunshine was the best disinfectant here, and I think it kept this deal from happening. That doesn't mean there's not going to be attempts to do it again in the future, but hopefully they'll be with the regular legislative process.